Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, and we can talk about cars a little bit, like because I just drove the new Tesla Model 3 Highland last weekend.
I don't like that name, Highland, but
Well, it's
whatever.
not really the name;
I know.
it's just the code name. It's really called the Model 3 Refresh.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, so so they made some.
Major differences or
You
no?
know, I mean, they made some little changes, like the appearance on the outside's a little different. It's quieter, definitely a smoother ride. The suspension's been tuned. I think they've got some like updated dampers in there, so it's like a smoother ride, quieter.
Will that smoother ride run through the different variations? Like you had, that was the rear wheel drive, right? And
Yeah,
then
that
there's
was the
the
entry level rear wheel drive
all wheel
standard
drive, and
range.
then there's the performance, right?
Yeah, so we don't know what the performance is going to be like, if it's going to be stiffer, but I think it's still going to have a better ride. I think it's going to have like, the shocks will be dampered better. Probably be the same.
I
Um,
wish they would make the performance. I wish they would add more to it.
Stand
Like,
out, yeah.
yeah, this like better seats, more like sportier seats.
That's what
I would
they're
love.
supposedly they're going to put sport seats in the new performance. So,
Oh, that'd be cool.
yeah, so
That kind of stinks.
you have to upgrade. I know, like I would never even think about upgrading, but if it's faster and has better seats, maybe I don't know, like.
Better
Um,
seats. What else? Like lighter. I don't know if they can make it lighter,
No,
but
I
it would be
mean it's
nice if it
gonna
was
have the
lighter.
performance version is gonna have better seats. It's gonna have one of the plaid motors in the back. So I mean, it may like
That's a definite though.
we're pretty sure. We'll see, but yeah, it's gonna have just one dual motor probably. But it's gonna be faster, like maybe 2.5 seconds to 60. That would get me interested.
Heck yeah, man. That would get me
So that,
interested.
that that's what I'm most interested
But
in. But
then the price point. What's the price point going to look
it's
like
gonna be the
for?
same, like under 55K probably. So under
Which
just
is
under.
which is super irritating.
I know. We'd love to pay more than
So
that.
irritating. If nobody
We
knows,
didn't get the
I bought
tax.
that. I
We
bought
didn't
that car at the high end, not the low end.
right, and we weren't able to get the federal rebate either. But now the new one will probably qualify for the rebate, so it brings it down. But you can't. You like the car, so that's all that matters. All right. So
Not really, man.
so a couple of things we want to talk about networking
Yeah,
wise. The I've been testing the ESG620 gateway this week,
yeah,
um, and a couple of things, like one, I know we talked about when I had a 510 in my network, and I basically took it out. I took it out of my inventory. I took it out of the network, deregistered it, and then I put the 620, added it to my network, and it took on all the settings that the 510 had automatically.
yeah.
So I had everything screenshotted. I thought I was gonna have to put it all back in again, but I think the way the cloud works is it knows that there's only one gateway per network, so it's gonna maintain
Yeah.
those settings, right? You set the network up. It doesn't care which gateway's in there. It's just gonna hold those settings until you change them.
Yeah, what's pretty cool about that is you went from like you said the ESG 510 to the 620, so you're making a major that's a major jump,
Yeah,
right? So like I mean performance wise is one thing, but the number of ports, the WAN ports, right, are different. So it's interesting that you were able to that config went from the 510 to the 620 with the port differences and everything. So now, were your first four ports configured and the other four were not configured, or how did that look?
they're all configured to be LANs. Because
Yeah, but like I mean, in regards to your VLANs and what was
the VLANs are in there, so I had VLANs like applied to all ports. Let's take a quick look. We can take a quick look at it. Um, so yeah, my LANs were in there. Oh, actually, now I'm looking at it. It looks like it only has the my first LAN in there. So my second VLAN maybe didn't carry over.
mm,
Let me look at that gateway. Um, yeah, so it looks like only one of my interesting.
Yeah, because you have LAN 2
Yeah.
and then LAN, right?
Yeah, I'm looking. Let's
Which
look.
is on. Oh wow, you're on.
Oh, you're looking
You
at
know,
it too. Okay.
yeah, port 9, and then you have port 5, 3, 1. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9 are all checked off that particular VLAN. And then the very fast or VLAN fast 2, nothing is checked off on that one.
Oh, okay. So I didn't apply that yet.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I don't really
Okay.
use that. That's just for testing. So I didn't.
I thought that was interesting that you said that. So I was like, oh, that I haven't had the opportunity to look at it. So yeah,
Yes.
looking at it now,
So
it looks like you just got the normal configurations.
yeah. So that's nice. So if you did have to, there is a functionality, a replace functionality in the Genius Cloud, but in order to use that, it has to be the same exact device.
It's
Like
got to be the same model.
if you
Yeah.
had a model 510 fail and you did a replace, it would automatically take all the settings over, right? Because it's the same exact model, same number of ports, everything. But this took on the configuration okay. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about the 620, like how the WANs work. Sorry about that. Busy today. So the way the WANs work, the WAN number 1 is on the SFP plus port on the 620. Right? So you have two WANs available, but when you take it out of the box, only WAN 1 is enabled. So you basically have to have an internet service that has an SFP plus module, fiber module, right? To be able to get an IP address and bring it up on the cloud.
Unless you have like a converter, right?
Unless you have a converter, right? So what I was going to say is I have an Ethernet cable modem, 2.5 gig of Ethernet cable modem. So I used a copper module. I put that into the WAN 1 port and then connected the Ethernet from my cable modem to that to bring this up. Now, so if you're going to use the 620 and you have an Ethernet-based internet service, then you're going to have to get one of those copper modules. And I put a link on the product page to the one I'm using that works. And the one I have can do 10 gig, 2.5 gig, and 1 gig. So it pretty much covers you for... I mean, I don't know what internet services are providing 10 gig right now. I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are some out there.
Business class, business.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but so there is a WAN 2 on this. It's copper only. It's 2.5 gig. But the catch is that it's disabled from the factory, so it's not able to contact the cloud. It's basically disabled. So if you plug in copper Ethernet, Cat 6 into WAN 2, it won't ever come up because it's disabled. And I know we're talking about maybe enabling that by default to make it easier. But I like the 620. It's nice that it's rack mountable. It has a standard 120 volt power connector in the back. There's no power brick. It has fans to keep it cool. And like I said in my review video, which I'll put here, anyone that has a rack, that's installing, business class or, home audio, video, whatever, should probably just use this one. Just because it's going to be neater. It's going to fit in your rack. The price difference isn't that much higher than a 510.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you think about what you're getting on that gateway, right?
Yeah.
So you have the 2 WAN ports, one's fiber, one's copper. Then you have all the other ports that supply PoE too. Right. So you're getting PoE from that port or from the ports. You have more ports. So there's a lot going on there. And then it's rack mountable, right? So the higher performance, all the extra functionality with the form factor setup.
Yeah,
you're getting a lot.
Yeah, I think it's worth it for most to just upgrade to the 620. Just because it's rack mountable, and the 510's good. It has plenty of power. Just I think the form factor and the number of ports, like you said, like you could use this on a small site with like 4 APs, and basically not even need a switch.
Yeah, but we want you to get a switch.
We want you to get more switches too, but if it was a small site, the thing is,
I'm kidding. Yeah, so you could do it without a switch. Yeah, for sure.
Right? So you could run like 4 APs on a small site, but But yeah, you should. Most people are going to have a larger switch and probably have more than 4 APs if they're using this gateway.
Yeah, yeah. But it is definitely actually that's a really good point. Moving from the 510, for example, to the 620. Maybe you're going to use the 510 with a switch. Now you can go right to the 620, and you're plugging right directly to the gateway itself. So
right, but it's only PoE plus. So coming out of those ports.
What do you mean it's only PoE?
Well, no, I'm
plus?
just saying. So you could go Wi-Fi 6E out of this, or we're going to talk about something next. You can possibly go with the new Wi-Fi 7 access point that Ingenious is going to roll out, right? The 2x2.
That's right.
So
it's funny. It's funny you bring that up, Jeff. Yeah. So Wi-Fi. I think Wi-Fi Alliance is celebrating 25 years.
Yeah. I was just over there looking at their stuff.
And Genius is also
25
celebrating
years.
25 years.
So
we've been in this game for 25 years, man.
Have I been selling Ingenious for 25 years? Maybe 20
Not
years.
For 25 years, about 20 years for you, I think.
Well, it's still a lot.
But yeah, we started in the 11B days.
Yeah.
802.11b, right?
Yeah.
And so fast forward to today, right? We're talking about Wi-Fi 7, right? So we talked about the Wi-Fi 7. This is the ECW526. This is the 4x4x4.
Yeah.
2 10 gigabit ports. Okay, so this is a PoE plus to power this bad boy up. You need a lot of power, right? So you can do it with a power adapter, you can do it with a PoE injector, or you can do it with a PoE plus switch. But we also are getting ready to start shipping and launch the 2x2x2 Wi-Fi 7 access point, which is, to give you an idea of size, if you can see that, it's pretty small size, right?
Yeah.
The 4x4x4 has 10 gigabit ports. This little guy, if you're buying the 220, this is the 220.
Just a little bigger.
It's very close to the 220 size, but it's a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker. Right. This comes with a 10 gigabit port on it. Has that single LED that you like.
Mm-hmm.
So it has all these different color functionalities to it, so that's pretty cool. It has the new mounting on it, which comes in this really cool box.
Yeah, it's very nice packaging.
And
that one only requires PoE plus. Yeah, it's like an Apple product we were talking about.
Yeah, so this is 18 max. We always put the max peak power, which is 18 watts of consumption. That's it's loaded and running it's got a lot of client devices on there. You're doing all kinds of things on this particular access point, but on the 6 gigahertz side, you can get up to 5.8 gigabit. On the 5 gigahertz, you can get up to 2.9. These are theoretical, obviously. 2.4, 720 megabit per second. But yeah, I mean, incredible speeds on a 2x2 AP. So
that's coming soon, and that'll make it a lot easier, because then you can use a multi-gigabit switch instead of a 10 gigabit if you wanted to. It'll provide enough power and probably enough speed. For if you don't have, you want to have at least a 2.5 gig switch to bring these up on Wi-Fi 7 access points.
Yeah, I think so. Even with the 2x2, we have 8-port, 24, or 48-port multi-gig.
Yeah.
All supplying PoE plus. And then the 620. That's multi-gig as well, right? In this PoE plus.
Yes.
So
you could run these directly from the 620 as like a little small office package, and still handle a lot of traffic. Like it could be a small office but with a lot of users. Right?
Oh, you're passing some major traffic through that setup, right? That's an interesting idea. Like a small package, office package, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the 620 and the Wi-Fi 7 2x2s, it's going to be an awesome office setup. So
yeah, you could have 2 gigabit internet connection coming in, and it would just be screaming, right? Just that little setup. So something to think about. But so
that's going to be my new home setup, I think.
Me too. Mine's too far away, so I need to have I have like 3 switches here that I go through. Two,
Yeah, you just got me thinking about that. That's a interesting idea.
You gotta do that at home. 4 APs wired in, and just like see, and maybe you can get rid of everything else.
What's the size? Yeah, you have 4 APs running.
How many APs do I have running? I have who knows? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I have 6 APs in my house.
How big?
My house, maybe like I don't know, 2,000 square feet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, my house is just below 2,000. You know, we're in California, so that like everything's small,
Yeah.
small and expensive. So I have two APs running, and it's totally fine. So I could probably run 2 of these bad boys.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I would only need 3 APs to cover this house, like 1 on each floor. You know, it'd give you good coverage, but you know, I gotta test all of them, Ruckus and Genius, everybody. So I have multiple networks running that I don't need. But anyway,
That's
so
cool.
the 620 is nice. I think someone's calling to buy one right now, so I better get going. Anything else you want to talk about this week?
No, I guess all APs too.
All right, Brian. We'll be back next week. Post questions in the comments. We had some questions last week that we tried to answer. And click the bell so you'll be notified when we come back next week.